Hey, what's going on, guys? Steve back at ARW. It's Friday, thank goodness. I've been slacking on the videos for sure. So I just wanted to take a minute and touch on a few things that we've been dealing with at the shop and what we're working on and things like that. Um, so first things first is I just wanted to especially say a huge thank you to all of our current customers for dealing with for being patient with us. We are currently trying to work through everything, all the projects that we have here. Um, the crazy thing is we just compared to this time last year, we're literally twice as busy. It's not anything that I was prepared for or expecting. I feel like that says something about us, um, as far as us being this busy. We're obviously this busy for a reason. So um, there have been a lot of projects that have come in that were supposed to be a little bit quicker. And then just as the way, cars happen sometimes, smaller projects turn into bigger projects, take more time. Um, we're trying to figure out a way around scheduling so that we don't have as many hiccups as we currently have. We're taking steps around the shop. Um, there's several things. For one, the shop space. We're just out of shop space. Like, that's the craziest thing. I mean, people that have been here know we don't have a big shop to begin with, but we've always managed to work within what we have here, and we're out. We're just out of space. We've explored options with other shops, potentially. Um, part of the deal is we just really like our space here. We love the landlord. He's super cool. He lets us hold meets here, and you know, lets you guys sometimes do burnouts out in the street. You know, cool stuff. We don't get a lot of flack for that, so staying here is something that we'd like to do, but we're just out of space, and we'll go over touch on a little bit of that, a little bit more of that here in a minute. But most important is just thank you to the customers, all of our friends that are helping us out, and all the customers that are sticking with us, even though that we are running behind on some of these projects, just because they've taken so long and they've turned into such an undertaking. So we're working through it. So thank you guys so much, and yeah. So I guess the next thing that I wanted to touch on is a lot of you guys have seen these. Some of you guys have bought them. These are the titanium studs that we're trying to get out into the marketplace. Um, yes, these are titanium studs. That seems to be something that people have brought up in a few Facebook posts and things like that. I'm not sure why other places aren't offering this color. I mean, maybe it's just because of the time that it takes to do basic colors are apparently a little bit quicker. But um, yeah, I guess basically in a couple of posts, people were saying the only way to get these colors out of material is aluminum, and you anodize them. These are definitely not aluminum. These are definitely titanium studs. My guy that is doing them, Josh, has spent a lot of time and money figuring out how to do it. He bought the really nice equipment to do it with. If you go and search on YouTube, there's ways that you can use basic voltage converters and stuff like that. He didn't do that. He bought the actual equipment for titanium that is specific to this stuff. So that's why he's getting these, insane colors out of them. So yeah, I think what we're gonna have to do is sacrifice, a few colors. He and I have been talking about, just a stud and having him do a blue and a purple, and we'll just chalk it up in a vise and take a grinder to it and show that, obviously if it's aluminum, they don't spark, and if it's steel or like a stainless steel, it's kind of an orangish yellow spark. Titanium throws a brilliant white spark. So I think that's what we're gonna have to do, um, to kind of show that these are not aluminum. That's the craziest thing I've heard in a long time, is people think that we made aluminum studs to hold like turbo manifolds and stuff on, when they probably exceed the temperature of aluminum and would melt. So I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me. But you know, there's people these days. I understand there's skepticism. People have to be skeptical of what you're buying, and there's nothing wrong with that. So taking it on the chin, and we'll just, like I said, hopefully we'll just create a video and shows that these are titanium studs. So on to the next topic. Last weekend was the last track day for Spokane County Raceway. Hopefully not forever, but that's kind of how it may be looking. Is I'm not sure if anybody's had any interest in the track, or I know there's been offers, but the current manager of the track is from my understanding making it hard for people to take over the track. I don't know the the ins and the outs of it. I just know that, potentially last Friday was the last weekend of the track. So on that note, I got time slips here. So we Brian and I did end up taking our GTRs out. My first pass, that was my first pass since I was out there in the red Integra over a year ago. And I definitely haven't launched an all-wheel drive car in forever. So you can see the very first pass ever in that car at the track was an 11.9. That 60 foot's absolutely horrendous. The track was super cold. It just spun. Not necessarily bitching about the prep or anything like that. I was out there on tires that aren't really drag radials or anything like that. It's just the track was cold, and I was out there in tires that probably have 40 pounds in them. I don't know. We just took them out the way that we drive them on the street, like no crazy prep towards the car or anything like that. So an 11.9 at 123, and then the second pass I beat on it a little bit more, but I didn't turn it up or anything. Like the turbos are just literally topped out. Like I can't make any more boost. So ended up going 11.6. Brian ended up with an 11.8. His car is on 15-ish pounds. So had a fun time out at the track. It felt good to be back out there. We went out, and I feel like that was my kind of like my doing yoga or meditation kind of thing that I've been missing out on, because I've just been feeling really wound up and bottled up and irritable and having issues. And I feel like ever since I went and made a couple passes, like I'm back in the zone and feeling reinvigorated. So I definitely miss this thing. I spent a lot of seat time in this car. It was kind of like my breakaway from everything, but eventually that got to be like a second job that was really stressful and really expensive. So definitely miss this thing and what we achieved with it and the group of people that we had around with us. So so I guess on to the next thing is, anybody that used to come here and hang out or has been here knows that this used to kind of be like a break room. We had an air hockey table in here, and this kind of used to be like a chill spot, and we got so busy at the shop that we literally had to do away with the air hockey table and put in shelves, and we got them all labeled, so like we know these are individual parts for each car that we're working on. So like we have a LS300ZX, this is all his stuff. Starting another Evo build, we're starting to acquire parts for that. This is a Turbo Civic that we're doing, and trying some cool stuff. This is a new GTW Garrett turbo that we're gonna put on another Benson sleeve motor. Definitely working with some of the coolest guys in the business. Speed Factory hooking it up as always. So we have an R32 GTR that we're doing a RB30 in, and like using some really nice Hypertune intake or turbo manifold and 6266. And as you can see, the parts are just overflowing. We had another parts room in the back that's where we normally kept parts, but that just got so crowded and overwhelming that we had to create more storage space. So what else we got? So a lot of you guys know this is our engine build room. It is a little messy right now because we have been assembling a few motors. This is Sean's motor for his 90 Talon, I believe it is, 90 or 91. So that's a turbo manifold. That was like actually one of my first turbo manifolds I ever made. So excited to see that thing work. We've got some of our studs on this thing. This is going to be the motor's pretty much ready for 1,000 horsepower. It's a powder steel rod with a Magnus spec Ross piston. We're going to be doing some cool stuff with this thing. It's got a Kigley trigger that everyone uses on the bottom, but instead of us using the normal Evo cam trigger or something like that on the backside, we're actually going to be switching to another product that we're going to try and develop and start using. It was, we had the idea a few years back, and a guy at a local shop here that some of you guys already know, he kind of took our idea and made it his own and ran with it, but he is no longer in business, so we're going to try and get back to implementing that. So where we're going to use the cam gear, and then we're going to use like the same Hall effect sensor that the T1 trigger uses on the Hondas, the B series. And so we'll be using the Kigley for the lower and then a Hall effect sensor for the top instead of using the Evos. See, man, I go to like World Cup and deal with a lot of DSM guys and seeing how many failures that they get out of the Evo sensors over here, that we can go to a much better trigger over here and hopefully alleviate trigger errors and timing drift and things like that. So kind of stay tuned for that. Excited about that. Is a built S2000. It's just an Eagle rod, Wiseco piston. I think I've promoted this motor before that we do stuff, but if anybody's looking for Benson stuff, we are a direct distributor for Benson sleeving. So he built this for us. He also built this K series. The K series should be capable of 1,000. This is going to be about 700 horsepower S2000. So look for that. If you need anything done with Benson, just let us know. We have a really good relationship with him, and he takes care of us, so we really like to promote him for sleeving and things like that. So and then out here, we've got a AEM tune on an MK3 Super that's got, I think, a basic Garrett journal bearing turbo. Nothing too crazy there. We finally figured out the issue with this. I don't remember if I went over this car in any of the last videos, but this car had a weird issue where it had really low oil pressure. This car was assembled and it's just had a bunch of issues since. So first thing is, when we got it here, we were checking over stuff. We put an oil pressure gauge in it. It had super crazy low oil pressure, so we ended up putting and it wouldn't go into VTEC, so we ended up putting a new OEM oil pump on it. It's a brand new built motor. The head was gone through. We put an oil pump on it. That helped out with a few issues, but it was still dropping a cylinder in VTEC, which was really weird because I could turn VTEC off and then it would rev all the way out and clean. But obviously, if you're not going into VTEC, you're not making as much power. You got to have that VTEC power. And so we had to tear back into it and finally figured out that it looks like, after looking at it, like somebody was grinding on the rockers, the middle, kind of the VTEC rocker. You could literally, on the rail, grab the rocker on cylinder 1 and move it back and forth. And it, I had the valve cover off a few times, and it's just something that I've never had to encounter, so it's nothing I've ever looked for before. So got a new set of rockers in it, and now it goes into VTEC. So now we're just working this back into the schedule to get the boost by gear done, Mac valve put in, and it's on Neptune. This car's going to be super cool. Don't expect to see this really out at the drag strip or anything. This guy's from up in Newport and just wants his toy back, so we're going to get this going. This car is definitely one of the cars I was mentioning before, as far as what on the outside, when we first inspected the car and when we first talked to the owner, seemed to be like not a ton of work. So we way underestimated the amount of work that was going into this thing, and it's taken a little bit more time. He ordered the RBC intake manifold, and then miscommunication between he and I about the throttle body adapter. So it's like it's just little things like that, just ordering an adapter can take a few days, and once the car's off the schedule for a few days, then you got to work it back into the schedule. So we're getting a handle back on this thing, trying to get it wrapped up for him and get it fired up and running. He's never heard the car run on this setup, so I know he's super excited, and so are we. So, but yeah, this is just kind of what I was talking about with those projects, as far as, man, even when he unloaded it off the trailer and we looked over it, we're just like, this, you can't like pull every last part out of the box and go through every last detail and then say that it's going to take this much time. So we just basically looked at the car and saw it and saw approximately how much work, and then once we dug into it, it was way more work than we had originally planned. So it just takes time. And yeah, we got did a full exhaust on this thing, and bear with me while I lift up the lift here. But yeah, this is going to be a super cool car. I'm just going to kind of want to show you guys the exhaust we did. I'm pretty happy with it. One of our first full exhausts that we did here in house, and it was based off of a kit, but that's made for the car. But I'm still really happy with it. So just bear with me as we go up on the lift here. I'll let you guys see. So yeah, he had the header, and then yeah, we ended up doing the full exhaust on it, and then the muffler. We still have to make hangers for the muffler, but that's no big deal. Once we get the hangers where it's supposed to be. But yeah, I'm super excited about this. We welded this all up and did everything here. Did a nice V-band from Ace Race. But yeah, so it's just things like kind of like these cars, how they came in to be simple projects, but once we dug into them, they turned into way more than what we thought, and that just counts in for time. And that's part of our scheduling that we're trying to figure out. We don't have 5 or 6 guys, so when a car takes longer, we can't just pull another guy off of a job and have 2 guys tackling this car. It's it's me here all day, and then Brian gets here in the afternoon, and then we go into whatever that project is for the day. So like I said, that's just kind of where we're at for the shop. Another thing, I guess, is how many of you guys actually watch the videos, the tech videos that I do? I don't even know if they're relevant, if you guys like them. I don't know how many people really even watch them, because they just get posted, to Facebook and things like that. But like the video with doing the dowel pins, is that something you guys are even interested in? Does that something that gets you guys going? Seeing kind of how we do stuff, like the video with the checking the codes on the Neptune. That was a pretty simple video, and I've talked to a lot of people that didn't know that. So what kind of content do you want to see? Do you want to see us do more tech videos? Do you want to see us goofing off in the shop? If you want to see the goofing off thing, maybe check out Chris's video at Adrenaline Driven Media. I'll try and put a link in. He had a pretty funny video of us, just hanging out towards the end of the day yesterday. And shout out to the Boosted Boys. We were watching one of their videos, and they were talking about eating packing peanuts, and how you could eat them and play with them and all that stuff. So we actually happen to have a box here, so somehow that got brought up and people started on that and eating them, and just almost like some jackass stuff going on here at the shop. But what do you guys want to see? What can we help you out with? If there's something that we're doing here that you want to see more of, just be sure and let us know. We'll try and get more content. I always say in every video, I'm going to try and be better about videotaping, but it's just hard. My mind is always just focused on work, so I just go out and start working, and then I get over halfway done with the job and just be like, oh, damn it, I didn't set up the camera. And Chris is always one of the guys that's always just like, which content you'd have if you set up a camera and just went around with it. So we're trying to figure stuff out and trying to work with it. So yeah, just drop a comment, drop a like, share it. Let's get some subscribers up. Let's get some views up. You want to see more GTR comment? You want to see more Hondas, Evos? I mean, what do you want to see? Let us know. Yeah, but I think that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thanks for hanging out, walking around the shop with me. I don't just stand in one place and talk. When I'm on the phone, I do the same thing where I just like wander around. I can't just like stand in one place. So I'm seeing a lot of changing background here. So, but thanks for hanging out, guys. Like, subscribe, share, everything else. You know the deal. Have a good day. Happy Friday.